Hello, my name is Michael Huynh, and I'm with ICCRC, the regulator of Canadian immigration consultants. I'm joined today virtually by Anandita Buragoin and Jackie McLean, who are both from the Canadian government, IRCC in New Delhi. Anandita and I will present what you need to know about coming to Canada, travel restrictions, and back services in India. Jackie and I will then answer your questions. This presentation will be repeated later in Hindi and in Punjabi. Please stay connected for Noor and Jagjit, who will provide you with valuable information in Hindi and in Punjabi. We are very pleased to host this Friday our first Facebook Live session. We will continue to hold sessions like these so we can reach you easily and share with you even more up-to-date information about Canadian immigration. As ICCRC will soon become the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, we are committed now, more than ever, to furthering our outreach activities. India is the leading country sending students, workers, and permanent residents to Canada. Migration from India is vital to Canada's economic recovery. IRCC and ICCRC have been working closely together to make it easier for you to find an authorized consultant to work with. We're also working hard to help you avoid unauthorized agents so you do not become a victim of fraud. Please get your phones ready to scan the QR code and download a new app that will help you easily access useful information about ICCRC and coming to Canada. If you are not ready to do so, we encourage you to at least take a photo or a screenshot of the QR codes so that you have them readily available. Also, it is very important that you provide your comments about today's live session. Please let us know what other topics you would like to hear about and if you found this session helpful. We want your feedback and will consider it very carefully. There will also be a short survey that we hope you take the time to complete. It is at the top of the Facebook chat box. Now, I will turn it over to Anandita.
Thank you, Michael. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us in this live session today, which we hope will provide you with important and relevant information. My name is Anandita Buragoin, and I'm the Outreach Officer for IRCC based out of the Delhi office. In addition to the huge volumes of visa applications that we see from this part of the world, we also see an equally huge and worrying amount of people who are taken advantage of by unscrupulous agents. As part of the client service unit, me and my teammates see many emails, receive many phone calls, and even have people coming to our front counter asking if their visa is authentic or if a job offer is genuine. We also come across applicants who will refuse because, unknown to them, their agent never submitted the correct documentation or provided incorrect or fraudulent information. There is a strong culture of using agents in India who are unauthorized. Although some of these agents appear to be helpful, almost all are not and don't have the qualifications to provide immigration service and advice. There is also a common misconception that using an authorized consultant costs too much money. Unfortunately, we are aware of many clients who have spent thousands of dollars to not even have their application submitted, or once it is submitted, the agent demands more money just to return their passport. When applicants are not fluent in English or French, they often turn to a friend or family member for advice. These family members do have good intentions, but do not fully understand how to find authorized immigration representatives. Today, we want to provide you with two most important key points. The first is to ensure that you are using an authorized representative who is a Canadian lawyer, a Quebec notary, or an authorized immigration consultant. Please note that immigration consultants may only be authorized by ICCRC, who will soon be transitioning to the College of Immigration Consultants. Now that you have your phone with you, you can scan the QR code on your screen or take a picture or screenshot of these two QR codes. The one on the right is the helpful ICCRC app that Michael has just mentioned about. The one on the left is the link to the IRCC Canada India webpage. The webpage has information not only in English and French, but also in Hindi and Punjabi. Please visit this website to obtain information about IRCC. In the next slide, I would like to talk about travel restrictions. To protect Canadians from the outbreak of COVID-19, the Government of Canada has implemented travel restrictions since March 18, 2020. Until further notice, most foreign nationals cannot travel to Canada, even if they have a valid visitor visa or an electronic travel authorization. We have been receiving several questions from workers, students, and visitors asking what they need to do to travel to Canada. Because the travel exemptions, quarantine, and COVID-19 testing requirements change frequently, we have introduced a travel wizard. The travel wizard provides individual response based on answers to inputted questions. This makes it clear if a person can enter Canada and what rules they need to follow should they be exempt from the travel restrictions. Of course, the final determination on entry and quarantine is made by a government representative at the port of entry based on the information presented at the time of entry. Information in this tool is based on the orders in council in effect and is subject to change according to effective dates. Moving on to the next slide, where I will quickly tell you a little bit about the visa application services currently available in India. At this time, students, workers, family class, and economic permanent residents can enroll their biometrics at a visa application center in India. A new web form has been launched that will assist in the submission of your passport. In addition, a two-way courier service is in place to pick up and deliver passports. The VAC is not open to anyone other than those who have a biometric appointment. Again, we recommend that you scan the QR code where many of your frequently asked questions will be answered. Many of our inquiries involved questions regarding processing times. The VACs were closed for several months during the pandemic, and now, with over 85,000 biometric appointments having been booked, this has created a significant inventory of applications awaiting processing that IRCC is working hard to decision. We appreciate your patience as we work through this inventory and encourage applicants to continue to watch for updates via their IRCC online secure account. I would now like to turn it back to Michael to discuss more about safe and legal migration to Canada. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Anindita. I noticed hundreds of you have just recently joined in the last few minutes. So if you missed the beginning of this presentation, I want to let you know that you can hear us again because we will be doing this presentation again in the next couple of weeks. So make sure to follow us on the Facebook page and you could either do so by liking or following. So thank you, Anindita, again about discussing about safe and legal migration and the updates on IRCC's processing. Immigration fraud and scams have sadly increased during the pandemic. There are now even more ways for dishonest agents to defraud their clients. That's why IRCC and ICCRC together are increasing their efforts to combat fraud. It's important that anyone applying to visit or immigrate to Canada knows the facts. The Canadian government, IRCC, assesses all applications on the same merit, whether they're submitted by applicants or by their representatives. While you do not have to, if you do hire a representative because you need help, you should only hire an authorized representative. Please review the other helpful tips listed here on the screen. You should also know that IRCC provides all requirements for coming to Canada on their website. On ways to share information on the safe and legal ways to migrate to Canada. Today's presentation is just one way for us to share this information. We've also written a helpful info sheet on immigration fraud and how to report it in India. You can download the info sheet using the QR code that you see on the screen. There is also a mobile billboard truck traveling to different parts of India. Maybe you've already seen it. The billboard tells people to go to the IRCC India webpage at canada.ca/India-visa, which you can also see on your screen there. Today, we also want to alert you to information found in the India media. It seems everywhere you turn, there's information about how to immigrate to Canada without having qualifications, without a job offer, or without even having to speak English or French. You will also see pictures of people who say they used an immigration agency and were successful in coming to Canada. But there is no way for you to tell if that is true unless you actually knew that person. Some advertisements use correct and real information in order to convince you that they are telling the truth. They use Canadian ICCRC and IRCC logos and images, the name of our officials, and even a picture of our own Prime Minister, as you can see in this advertisement to the right. Please note that these are paid advertisements. Don't believe everything that you read in the newspapers. If you were to spend a lakh on a car, you would do your research. Please make sure you do thorough research before spending money on an immigration application. Okay, back to you, Anandita.
Thank you, Michael. I think at this point in time, we are looking at taking questions from our audiences. So our team who is looking after the questions in the chat box, do we have any questions which have come in from our participants?
And as those questions are coming in, I just want to point out for all of our viewers that you can find our social media accounts and websites now on the screen. So you have the email address for the Delhi office, as well as the ICCRC website. And then you can see all of the Twitter, Facebook, and other handles on the screen. We would also appreciate if you could take the time to answer a survey, which has about 10 questions. It should only take you a couple of minutes, but will help us understand age and behavior in India, and in turn help us prevent people from becoming victims of fraud. I think that survey is going to be pinned in the comments of the Facebook Live.
And it seems like most or almost all of the questions that we're receiving at this point are about the Quebec processing for the Quebec study permit. So Jackie, would you like to take the question and just address the query with regard to the current status of the processing of students who are directed towards Quebec for the fall or the summer, and what is the status of the processing of their study permits?
Absolutely. So there's many reasons why particular applications can take longer than others. Some require additional information, some require verification. And so I cannot speak specifically regarding cases, but I can tell you that we try to keep our processing times as consistent as possible. But during COVID, that has been a little bit more difficult. That's why we've indicated that our processing times are not always accurate. We have been focusing on people that are travel exempt, schools that have designated learning institutes that have a COVID readiness plan, workers that are considered essential. So right now, if you're looking at processing times, it's not always first in, first out. We also recognize that a lot of students, workers, permanent residents, some of them had trouble getting a medical done. There's also a lot of medicals that need to be associated to files. So we're working hard to try and make sure that people who have been waiting the longest do get the services, or do get the answers that they need, or the decisions that they are, but different applications require different requirements.
Thank you, Jackie. The next question that we have is people asking about the status of PR applications. They're asking if COVID has actually slowed down the processing of these applications, and how can they expect to get an update on the current status of these applications?
Well, status updates, now with so many things being online, all of our applications for temporary residence you have to submit online up until at least September 30th. So the IRCC secure account is a way to get updated information. Regarding permanent residents, there was a release not that long ago indicating that we've hired more staff to be able to focus on processing of family class members. We know that that is a priority for Canada for family reunification. And so we're working hard to prioritize those cases. As far as economic, in India, we have opened up biometric enrollment for those in the economic class that we're awaiting biometrics. And we're continuing to process applications based on what the priority is, and people that are travel exempt. So right now, permanent residents who are in the family class, or those that were processed prior to March 18th and received a decision and and were issued a COPR, we're focusing on those cases so that they can enter Canada.
Thank you, Jackie. The next question is about if someone has a valid job offer, but they also have a valid COPR, which was received after March 18th, are they currently able to travel to Canada?
So if you have a valid document and if you're travel exempt, so the travel restrictions are actually put in place by Transport Canada and not IRCC. So if you have a valid travel document and if you're exempt from the travel restrictions, then you may travel to Canada. I do want to emphasize though that even if you meet the travel restrictions and you have your immigration document, it is dependent on the airline and what they require. The airline is, some airlines, if you're transiting through different countries or if you're, they may require different documents. And also the last say, I just wanted to say the absolute last say on the documents that you have to present has to be available at the time when you are boarding, and they can check with Canada Border Services Agency at that time.
Thank you, Jackie. I think, Michael, we have a few questions for ICCRC. So would you like to address those questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Anindita. And thank you, Jackie, for answering those tough questions. One of the questions we typically get is how many RCICs currently work in India? Currently, we have 62 that are physically located in India, but there are also 1,142 RCICs, that is authorized immigration consultants throughout the world that speak Punjabi. There's 1,148 that speak Hindi, and we have about 122 that speak Gujarati. For those in India speaking those languages, you should be able to find an RCIC that speaks your language and dialect if you need support. Another question that we received is when ICCRC becomes the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, will they have more authority to go after agents, or I guess what the question is touching on is unauthorized agents? Yes, the answer is the College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants will be provided additional authorities to pursue those individuals who are not licensed but are providing those types of services. There will be the powers to go through the courts to seek what is called an injunction. In addition to that, we'll be working with our partners and stakeholders throughout, across the globe to ensure that people understand the importance of working with an authorized representative because of the reasons we talked about earlier today in this presentation, making sure that you get the good advice as well as ethical representation so that you have a good chance of migrating or immigrating to Canada. And of course, one of the most important things that we're trying to do is have sessions like this so that you understand the difference of working with an authorized representative, whether that's a lawyer, a Quebec notary, or a immigration consultant licensed by ICCRC. You should, this session today is trying to stress the importance of working with those authorized individuals and not just someone that you might know. Another question I think that's come in, Anandita, it's a question about the difference between an agent and an RCIC. So I think that's really, I'll take that question. It's very, a very common question that we got in particular in India. We recognize that in India, oftentimes the term agent or representative or consultant is used interchangeably. We want to make sure that if you're thinking of coming to Canada, you need to work with a consultant who is an RCIC. That is, they're authorized by ICCRC. So if you're working with an agent, your first question to them is, are they licensed or are they working with an RCIC? And if they do, then you should go to the website to make sure that our website, ICCRC-crcic.ca, to make sure that that's actually the case. Okay, Anandita, we got another question. I'm not sure who might be best to answer this one. It says, can my school recruiter submit an application for me? So I'll let you answer. I have my answer as well. So Jackie or Anandita, I'll let you.
I think Jackie would take that question.
Great.
Jackie, you're on mute.
I would say that depends. Some schools work with authorized representatives and can refer you to an authorized representative. And that's fine. It's your choice depending on which authorized representative that you want to work with. You can, do your research. As Michael stated, there's, 1,100, I think there's 6,500 RCICs. There's also many lawyers and COMEC notaries. So make sure that you understand what your authorized representative will be providing. If, authorized representatives are the ones that will tell you there is no guarantee. Whereas if you use an unauthorized representative, what you might hear is, oh, don't worry, I will guarantee you a visa. That is a surefire sign that that is incorrect information. What your authorized representative can do is make sure that you put forward the best application based on their knowledge of immigration, which they all have to study for. Lawyers study, RCICs study, and make sure that they have an understanding of immigration laws and policies. That's why they're regulated. And so if your school has somebody like that, make sure you can check. If the school refers you, you have the app, you can check to make sure that that person is in fact authorized. There is school representatives specifically that can offer you advice on just the study permit portion. There's also, if you're checking just for an agent, there is a spot on the website that you can search an agent to see, is this agent working for an RCIC? Those agents can do things like upload documents to the RCICs. They can make sure that they scan passports, provide translation, but they cannot provide immigration advice. And I think that's what a lot of people get confused with, and even schools sometimes get confused with that. So we just want to really emphasize that do your research. You might think that the institution in Canada knows all of these things, and it's up to the client to know. In the end, it's your application, you're signing on the dotted line. If information is incorrect, you can report an RCIC for wrongdoing, which is another reason why we strongly encourage you to use an RCIC. An unauthorized rep, if something goes wrong, there's really nothing that you can do. I also wanted to say, because I think we get a lot of questions about reporting, and in India, if you use an unauthorized rep, you can go to your local police. That's all. Over.
Great. There is one last question, which is where can we find RCICs? And we've touched on it before. Jackie, you just mentioned it. If you're the person you're working with on your student permit application, you're not sure, you should download the app to verify that your consultant actually is authorized by ICCRC. With that, I'll pass it back to Anandita. Was there anything else that we needed to say?
No, I think we're done with the questions and we're also at time. So thank you both, Jackie and Michael, for answering those questions. For those of you who would want to stay back for our Hindi and Punjabi presentation, please do so. It's starting in another 5 minutes at 9 p.m. Thank you all so much for joining us, and please keep following us on social media. Thank you and have a good night.